Let's talk about spiking. Libido. On TR. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Saturday. I'm a radio talk show host. Hi, Dan Lackman on WFMZ 68 Radio, here to talk not like my normal self. Hate those guys. I mean, the guys with super deep voices that are like, hello, everybody, and welcome to PDF 77. Here to talk about the latest news. Those guys are cool, but the fucking guys that talk like this are not. Morning, everybody. Hope you guys are great. T's happy to be here. Epic. All right, so let's talk about a couple things. Number one, I've extended the coaching discount for a long time now. We booked a lot of people, and frankly, I got slots left because in late August and then the beginning of September, probably like 10 people were closed with their sessions. So 10 slots opened up, and slots kind of keep opening up as people book, and then they come to the conclusion of the duration that we've got together. Primarily, what I do is I help people out of libido and erection issues on TRT, serious sexual dysfunction induced by hair loss drugs, or serious sexual dysfunction induced by TRT. Your protocol's fucked up. Your dick is not going to work, nor is your libido. If you enter the code Coach Discount at checkout, you will save thousands of dollars. It takes 50% off of the total. We never run specials like that, but we're doing it. And it's all for you guys. Those of you eyeing some of the coaching one-on-one joints that have been thinking about doing it, now you can do it because it's substantially cheaper. LiveCortex.com. I'll keep the graphic up for you guys so that you remember that. And let's get to some topics. So first, let's talk about the idea of spiking libido on TRT. Now, number one, if your libido is pretty crappy and you're on testosterone replacement therapy, there's always a reason. That reason is usually estradiol being not in your zone, and coupled with not enough DHT. People run into this dilemma where on high doses they're anabolic as fuck and they feel great, but the estrogen's too high. The DHT could be high, but the estrogen's a little too high, and they've got erectile dysfunction, or erections just aren't up to par. Libido is not great. It shuts down the testicles further at the higher doses. So, then they try AIs and DHT derivatives. If they can dial them in, that's a process to do that. Great. Then you've got the best of both worlds, the high doses, and you can dial in sexual function. But a lot of people are just, over responders to aromatase inhibitors. And that causes a problem where the only way that they can fix their protocols, they got to go on 100 to 120 milligrams a week, a little bit of HCG, DHEA, and then decide at that point, do I need some DHT on top of that? Regarding DHT gel, this is single-handedly the most instrumental tool that we have available on TRT, because at any point you could add DHT gel, even if you're at the higher doses, and if the estrogen is still over range but somewhat close to your range, it's just not substantially over range, the DHT will counterbalance the estrogen, give you more DHT, and you can be dialed in that way. You get, libido spikes and erectile quality spikes pretty significantly, to the point where you don't even need Cialis at all to just have killer erections. I've done it before in higher doses. It's hard to dial in the dose, and it's not 100% consistent 100% of the time because your body does different things. DHT kind of leaves the system quickly, but it's a hack that if you know what you're doing, it really pays dividends. DHT in general, though, to have DHT gel, a drop of the 20% stuff is between 5 and 10 milligrams as an estimation. You have your protocol in your hands with that stuff. Like, you can modify it every which way, any which way, and in ways which facilitate sexual function. It is the best tool that we have available to us, considering it does the two things we need on TRT for sexual function, which is block some estrogen and increase DHT at the tissues. It's precisely what you need. Boys, I'm telling you, I will howl at the moon till the end of time about this. Because when I wake up in the morning, through pissing, through showering, I've just got a steel rod for fucking 10, 15 minutes. It is easily achievable if you know what you're doing, and DHT plays a huge role in that. Radio hosts don't have popping delts. This is true. All right, let's get to questions. let's get to questions. Brothers, Rishab, if masturbation elevates prolactin, yes, it does. And it's like, I mean, it's fine. You can do it, but you do it too frequently and you're not on test, or you do it too frequently, way too frequently. Even if you're on test, you know, I mean, you're just going to surge prolactin. That in and of itself, aside from inhibiting gonadotropins, it has separate mechanisms by which it shuts down your penis. Try going on, you know, as much androgens as possible, getting your estrogen in range and being on a dialed in protocol, and then masturbating 5 times a day, you know, or 3 times a day. That prolactin's going to rise. It shuts your dick down right away. That's why, you know, you lose your erection. Now, just so folks know, if your protocol's super dialed in and you climax, an hour later, you should be able to, you know, go again. And frankly, I've been in the case where 15, 20 minutes later, you know, I get an erection again, you know, with my chick after sex, after climax. That's when things are really, really dialed in. Yes, it does contribute to erectile dysfunction. Why does ED sometimes persist even after 1 day of abstinence when prolactin levels already return to normal? So if you are natural, the reason that happens is because you cease fire on gonadotropin replacement, which disrupts the testicle's ability to produce testosterone, DHT, estradiol, not just in the testes, but the seminal vesicles, the entirety of the sexual organ system. So, I mean, especially too, if you are on the borderline, like of sensitivity to prolactin, and your numbers are just not great, generally, your TAST, your DHT, your estradiol, because they can be skewed as a natty as well, prolactin's just going to make that fucking worse, and it's going to last longer. Even a person that's really, really dialed in, if they don't have enough DHT just like kind of overrides a lot of that and just drives a lot of sexual function. You know, if their DHT isn't super high and they're not kind of hacking their protocol in that regard, you know, climaxing 2-3 times over 2 days with their girlfriend or whoever or by themselves, you know, might make their libido drop a tad bit over the next 2 days. Because prolactin also inhibits dopamine neurons, you know, in the arcuate nucleus and the hypothalamus pituitary. It just stops them from firing at the level that they should be firing at. So this is why you have that. You know, you'll have people that this is why masturbation is fine, you know, but it's generally not a good idea to do it a lot. It's just generally not a good idea. Like, I will stop myself from fucking doing that because I know, all right, if it, you know, I just climaxed like last night and this morning with my girlfriend, and then later on, if I'm feeling horny, which usually I am, doing that might make it so that, you know, the sex later on is fine, but maybe it's not as great. You know what I mean? You just kind of be aware of that. You know, it's your natural. Remember, prolactin is the system that shuts you down in terms of erections and libido post-climax for a reason. Otherwise, you're just going to stay walking around with a boner, like you know what I mean, and stay in that place. Our bodies are meant, you know, to reproduce, to have sex, to ultimately have a baby, and then, you know, we'd be, I mean, excuse my language here, but we'd be male whores if we didn't have prolactin to shut all that down. So it serves its own purpose, but you manufacture a lot of that prolactin, you know, you're going to shut shit down for a little bit. You got to be careful of that. Good morning, brother. In terms of drops per milliliter, how wide of a range have you used 20% DHT gel in both yourself and clients? 0.25 milliliters, 0.5 milliliters, 1 milliliter. Yep. The success is at the lower doses, though. Yeah, generally speaking. Unless you're on loads of tests where you need a lot of DHT to block some of the estrogen conversion and some of the gene expression regarding estrogen receptor activation, then you need higher doses in those cases. But otherwise, it's a drop here, a drop there, a couple drops every other day sort of thing. I mean, you do not need a lot of it. What's amazing about that is, like, in my bathroom, literally in this little bin where I've got, you know, my beard trimmer and other shit, there's the DHT gel. I got 2 vials last time that I bought the stuff. One whole vial hasn't been touched yet, and the other vial is still more than 3/4 of the way full. It will last for fucking ever. Yeah, that's why it's such a good investment. You can find that on Source List, which is in the description of this video. Nemo, can you talk about HCG and all the benefits it has for PFS protocols? Yeah, sure. The bottom line, it has benefits, but it could also be really tricky. It's necessary either way, though. I should just make that clear. The bottom line with HCG is, like Leo from Leo and Longevity said, which I agree with,
For the sexual system to be as peak as it can be, you have to have functional testicles. Inside the testes, you have a microenvironment of hormones which drive partially sensation, erection quality, climax ability, and climax sensation. You shut that system down, all of those things are going to be less optimal. So, people with PFS also have documented low end or deficient gonadotropin levels. So their LH is low or close to low. So the testes have been shut down and starved, and they're not even on exogenous test for such a long time. It's like rehab to get HCG in the picture. It's rehab. HCG is like you want to have the exogenous test to make more DHT and to fuel the muscles and energy and all that stuff. And a lot of the PFS people have bone problems too, bone mineral density issues, and among other things. But you want the intratesticular system because that's your own bioidentical testosterone, which your body prefers more so. It becomes tricky because HCG is estrogenic, not just because it creates testosterone in the testes. There's another mechanism by which it does that, via stimulating the Leydig cells to produce fucking estradiol. That's one of the things that it does. So the dose has to be right. But you can make that work in the context of a TRT protocol, assuming the test dose is right for you and the rest of your protocol is right for you. If you're one of those people that can tolerate AIs, well, then that's easy. It could be on 170, 180, 200 a test, 200 IU of HCG every other day or every day, and you're 0.25 milligrams of anastrozole once every 5 days, and you're fucking dialed in. You're dialed in. So yeah, that's the thing. But what you got to recognize is that HCG is not a solution to PFS. No singular compound is. You need test. You need the HCG. You need DHEA. If you can dial in with an AI, you'll need that. If you can't, you got to go on lower doses. The estradiol has to be in range. Has to. And you have to have enough DHT. Dialing those protocols in, it's the same formula, but it tends to be a little bit different with these minor variations between people. Meaning 120 might land you with a little bit of HCG, 120 a test might land you in the estrogen sweet spot, but then another guy's that's not going to do that. It needs to be 105, or I've seen as low as 82 milligrams or 84 milligrams a week of test, a little bit of test cream, some HCG, some DHA, and then they landed in the sweet spot. So no one singular compound fixes that situation. How to transition from test prop to test sip? That's a hard one. Daily injections are probably better if you don't want to peak estrogen and if you're sensitive to estrogen regarding erections, which most of us are. But the first 2 weeks, you're probably going to want it to save time front load, which would mean you dose a lot of the test cypionate at once to get your bloods around 700, 800 within 2 weeks. You might be having to dose 100 milligrams every other day to do that. And then you can scale back to your daily 15 milligram a day dose or something. And you'll be right around that range, and estrogen will be kind of where it's going to land. And then you make short strokes after that. You boost the test in the blood, and then you make small fine tooth adjustments once you're around your range where you want to be. Yeah. Every time I've cycled, times when I went back on a long ester, coming from a short ester, I just front loaded to get the test up there, because otherwise it would take 6 weeks to get it where it's going. I don't have the fucking time to wait for that, and most people don't. So you just front load a good bit, then you go from there. Sick hair, bro. Thanks, man. I'm working on it, dude. I go to this place called Sports Clips, where it's just a bunch of girls who do your haircut, and they do a good job. They do a good job on it. And they wash your hair, which is awesome. That's like the best part of it, honestly. Nosy blacklight. Also, right amount. If it's the right amount of 20% DHT gel and proper ratios with E2, does it still sometimes take more time than a month or no, it should not. Unless you have PFS or some serious sexual dysfunction, which is going to take some time to rehab the penis and stuff. You need consistent nocturnal erections. You need a lot of erections to sort of increase the oxygenation and blood flow to the penis to repair the organ. These organs into the penis itself can get damaged, Yeah. That's via lack of blood flow. Got the mechanisms by which penile health stays healthy have been down for such a long time that, like, again, it's like a fucking broken limb. It's got to heal. It's got to heal. And it can. And it does, supplying, the right, particularly DHT and having estrogen range. But so if that's the case and you've got some sexual dysfunction from a hair loss drug, it's less likely to happen right away. When you get to the right doses of everything, you will notice substantial improvements, but then you've got to stay there, and that might take time over time to just consistently give you gains. But I mean, I can tell you this. What people don't understand about their protocols is right away, once the numbers get to where they need to get, which on long esters might take 4 to 6 weeks after a change, when the numbers get where in your sweet spot, it comes back overnight. I mean, it can come right on fucking back. You can go from not having nocturnals and morning wood and not really being horny to a week later when everything has fallen in range, your body's starting to get used to that. Nocturnals, morning erections, penetrative sex erections, and libido. And sensation increases. Yeah. This is a confusing topic for people. Like, they're changing protocols, doing things, and they're like, this isn't helping right away. Oh, I guess DHT doesn't work for me. You just fucking did it wrong. You just did it wrong. You didn't give it enough time. The dose wasn't right, and that's it. You can't say DHT doesn't work for me. You need to surgically dial every fucking thing in, and I know that's painstaking, and I know that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but that's the reality of hormone replacement. Somebody on a call recently with me, just a coaching call, was like, why can't it just be that I inject whatever amount of tests once a week and, like, that's it? Like, from the frame of, does testosterone work or doesn't it work? It's way more nuanced than that. This is why I even exist, because tailored surgical protocol architecture is what everybody needs to do to themselves. It's just I've gotten really good at it over the years, and I do that because you got to dial in your protocol for you, man. Again, there are generalities that apply to pretty much everybody, but when it comes down to the individual, you got to experiment. Nemo, gather the supplies, do the SIP master failsafe protocol. Awesome. Recent labs of E2 showed 43. Why wouldn't adding tests and HCGs cause E2 to go higher? It would, but after a while, you're going to not make your own E2. So you're just relying on the test and the HCG to make the E2, and that will ultimately go down. The master failsafe is 98 milligrams, 14 milligrams a day. That between that and 105 milligrams a week, it's unlikely at that point with a little bit of HCG and some DHA that estrogen will go over range. And if it does, you got to drop that test dose further to maybe 84 milligrams a week and then add some exogenous DHT. And you'll be at the point where you notice benefits and the sexual system starts coming online again, at which point you just leave it there and let it fucking recover. Let it recover. But, as with anybody, the doses have to be right. The doses have to be right. Yeah, but no, your E2 might temporarily go higher because you have your natural E2 plus, now all this exogenous stuff. But once that balances out and, you're shutting down the exogenous system for the most part, with the exception of a little bit of HCG to keep the testicles functional. Once that all balances out, then all the E2 you're getting is just from the test and the HCG. None of your own previous natural stuff, which your body is obviously not regulating well because you're not converting enough test to DHT and you're converting more disproportionately to E2. Joe, would you recommend increasing the weekly HCG dose first or keeping it the same and adding test cream for your body composition? Currently on 1,500 IU a week monotherapy, every other day dosing. I'm not sure what you're asking here. Increasing the weekly HCG first or keeping it the same and adding test cream for body comp. So your goal is to add body composition. If you're going to add test cream, you probably want to reduce the dose of HCG a little bit. Because again, whether you're trying to increase body composition or not, you're going to aromatize more with more of an aromatizable androgen. Now, test cream is less aromatizable just by the sheer fact that if you're rubbing on the testicles, it converts more to DHT because it's vascularized skin. There's a lot of 5-alpha reductase 2 in the testicles. So you get a better DHT to estrogen ratio in that regard, but monitor your bloods before and 3 weeks or 4 weeks in so you can see where estrogen is going wherever your HCG dose is and then change it, then lower it. Yep. But cream and HCG is one of the easiest TRT protocols to dial in. Yeah, because, it's just the cream is just going to aromatize less than a long ester. And it's just about getting that cream dose right and then the HCG dose right. Orange juice break. OJ has so much potassium and a good bit of glucose. So for those of us that move our bodies, it is fuel for the brain. Dr. Deltz. Any help to keep erections longer? A fill fades quickly. 250 spread out. Yeah, your estrogen's too high, period. Get the estrogen down to 25 and the erections will stay. At that point, if sexual function isn't perfect, add a little DHT. I've been over this. This is not difficult. You're on too high of a fucking dose. You're either going to have to figure out if AIs work for you. So Romacin or Arimidex, DHT derivatives, if they don't, Masteron, Primabol, and take the time to dial in the doses. Be fucking patient because, Primo, Masteron, unless you're getting Masteron prop, you're getting Masteron in and Thades. It's going to take some time to dial in. But, if you're at high doses, most people cannot tolerate that without the use of estrogen control. And if they can't tolerate estrogen control because it gives them joint pain and fucks with their libido because it's starving tissues of estrogen at the brain because it's disproportionately working, in a hammer type fashion on aromatase enzymes, then you've got to go down in dose. Yeah. The reason your erections phase at 250 is because it's too high of a fucking dose and you're probably not using anything to control estrogen. If you've listened to people that have said that you do not need to control estrogen, turn them off. Tune them out. I'm a TRT coach. It's all I do. From 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. besides doing content, that's all I do for years. I don't really recall anybody over the course of working with clients that can tolerate high E2 in terms of erection. So that's it. I experienced that on cycle. I experienced that on higher doses and need to use an AI to get it down. That's exactly what happens. The estrogen shuts down your dick like probably about 60%, like prolactin does. Prolactin's very, very heavy at shutting your dick down, but estrogen past your range and substantially and staying up there. If it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, it's just going to cause ED. You're seeing a mild version of that at this point, being that you can't hold the erection as long. Run your labs, get the E2, get it down, and I promise you that will resolve. Nemo, thank you for your help for the PFS community. Work is appreciated. Absolutely, man. Yeah, PFS is such a. I like doing it because I like taking people who are in debilitated states and giving them their lives back. But at the same time, I get people that come on board or want to come on board and are just kind of having a consult with me and are so skeptical because they took one dose of finasteride and it fucking screwed them for 3 years. So like skeptical to do anything. They see that other people have tried TRT that had PFS and it didn't fix the problem. And they think TRT is variable, therefore. No. The doses they used and the protocols they executed were wrong. Let me just say something. If you're somebody with sexual dysfunction, PFS specifically or PSSD, and you're reading on the forums that people took tests and didn't solve their problem, and you hold any weight to the idea that maybe test won't work or could make it worse, you have zero data about the doses they used, about how long they waited after they changed a dose, about what their fucking bloods say, about whether or not they had HCG in the picture, whether or not they were using a little add-on DHT if they were at the point where they needed that, whether or not they have the ability to recognize that. These people are not specialists in dialing in protocols. They fucking did it wrong. So if you have PFS and you're looking at people that go, I took tests and it made me worse. Yeah, because estrogen went too fucking high and it shut down the testicles and they weren't using HCG or enough of it. They don't understand how to dial in a protocol. They're throwing everything at the kitchen and the kitchen sink at it. Let me just dose 200. There's some people suggesting that you run cycles for 4 weeks and then dial back and then get off and then go back on a cycle and like that's going to somehow revive. Like it's all nonsense. It's all fucking nonsense, man. So anyway, I was getting around to saying PFS is a tricky one because some people are taking the advice of people on the web and letting it weigh in. And then they get to me and I've been doing this. I'm one of the only guys that's been working with people with PFS for years. And I'm trying to tell them, no, the reason that test didn't work for these folks is because they fucking did it wrong. The doses were wrong. They were over aromatizing. They don't know how to dial in tests for PFS, and they're still skeptical about it. It's like, okay, good luck. Silver Shroud, in your experience, what was the most effective natty solution for increasing DHT? Natty solution? There isn't much. There isn't much. No. The supplements are not going to do it. Thoughts on DIM to lower E2? It's not an AI. It doesn't lower E2, actually. It works really on the other estrogens, and it's not, it selectively can block androgen receptors. No reason for it. No reason for it. Better ways to do it. Hair protocol, ? Okay, got it. Steve Wonderful. My TSH was near 7. God damn. Now it's 21. Just started levothyroxine. Feel so much better. Can you talk a bit about hypothyroidism in TRT? Yeah, I mean, if you're hypo, there's a lot of things, energy particularly, that are going to be subpar, and TRT is not going to help with everything. Same time, you need functional thyroid hormones they work in a way to inhibit prolactin. Yeah. So, you'll find in the scientific literature that hypothyroidism is a cause of hyperprolactinemia, elevated prolactin. And once you get that fixed, the prolactin goes back down. So you want thyroid hormones to be in the right place. I'm cycling off at the moment, but I'll cycle back on to desiccated thyroid, porcine, compounded, pharmaceutical grade desiccated thyroid. Shit's very fucking powerful. And then, the thyroid hormones via controlling aromatase to some extent, among other things, are pretty good for sexual function. Atheist, I had briefly added Nolvadex, 10 milligrams a day for 2 weeks to counter some gyno from TRT. Completely tanked my libido. Is that to be expected? Yeah, it just did blocked estrogen receptors. Yeah. I mean, Masteron can do that because it, also can work on gyno and can also block estrogen receptors. Dose is too high. You might want to microdose it or something, or you just deal with that. The better thing to probably use would just be pure DHT and topical DHT on the tissue. Yeah, and the literature that helps, in my experience that helps, and that's easier to dial in than Nolvadex, which also has some fucking, could have some serious and negative long-term health consequences like cardiac issues. Simon Stone, I saw that. I saw your order come through this morning, and I'll reach out to you on Monday. Yeah, we don't reach out or do scheduling on the weekend, so I saw it come through literally this morning as I was hanging in bed with my girl. So I was happy to see that, Simon, because I recognized at that moment that you're always asking questions here. And I was like, hey, that's fucking cool. So you and I will be on the fact-finding call this week, probably Monday, if not Tuesday. I'll reach out to you via email so that we can set up getting on Telegram together so that we can coordinate fact-finding call. At that point, it's literally you and me on the phone, brother. And then Geronimo. Matt Justice, Test E, out of stock, a bunch of places. Updates coming soon. I just get Cypionate, I guess, in the meantime. But regarding source list, it should be there, findable at least at one of them. Yeah, I don't see that being out of stock, with everybody. Difference between injectable DHT and the gel? It's a good question. I mean, I think the pharmacokinetics probably be a little different. I think the transdermal DHT is probably in and out of the system faster, because with an injectable DHT, there's an ester attached to it, which changes the pharmacokinetics. Those are the major differences. Sheriff, the sheriff's in town, brethren. I'm on test gel 5% AM and PM with 100 with HCG 1 PPIU. Not really sure what that is. E260, do I reduce HCG to 50 IU or stick to 100 IU in the body or reduce E2 to 35 and below? You probably want to reduce the test gel dose if you want to get that E2 down. Or you take an AI and try to dial that in. Yeah. Total test per week is 70 milligrams. Yeah, I mean, it just might be peaking very quickly. The gel is not like cream in that it converts more to DHT. You probably want to get your hands on actual cream. Salty Toto Bear, nitric oxide boosters help with the wood on test sip and DECA, 125 milligrams a week. Yeah, DECA can cause wood problems via dihydronandrolone blocking DHT at the receptor, is what I think at least. Nitric oxide boosters. I'll tell you what, the funny thing about that, beetroot, citrulline, arginine, etc., is that they won't do shit if your protocol's not dialed or close to dialed, but they maximize erections when it is dialed in. It can also make you feel lightheaded as shit. If you all that nitric oxide, just dilating the blood vessels, lowering your blood pressure, causing fucking cerebral hypoperfusion. You will feel like dog shit if shit ain't right. Matt Justice, interested hearing you say this, just learning about why TRT talks say let estrogen fly, no AI needed, etc. Well, it's largely that they're against AIs, which is not a bad position to be in because some people just do really terrible with them. And generally, we don't really know long-term safety of them. It's probably better to not use them if you can manage. But the reason that TRT, everybody listen up. The reason that TRT docs are saying, don't need estrogen, you don't need to manage estrogen, let it fly, kind of whatever, is number one, they're selectively ignoring the scientific literature that states very clearly that above 32 picograms per milliliter, you have a statistically higher percentage of having ED, no matter what your test is. Number two, they're failing to acknowledge or just aren't looking at the literature because they're super biased that estrogen is heavily prolactogenic. You create a pituitary tumor in someone, a mouse, a person, elevate their estrogen, it's going to raise the prolactin. It's going to raise the prolactin either fucking way. E2 stimulates, literally, does something to D2 receptors at the pituitary, which makes prolactin increase and dopamine not able to aggressively bind to those D2 receptors. And estrogen at penile tissue level, via both ERB and ERA, but largely ERA, estrogen receptor alpha activation, is inhibitory to nitric oxide, inhibitory to endothelial function, inhibitory to erections. Inhibits arcuate nucleus dopamine projection in the brain. These are counter libido and counter erectile quality. I just don't get it. They're referencing one or two studies. There's like a newer one that came out that said sort of estrogen was largely irrelevant to the situation. These are poorly fucking designed studies and don't apply to everybody at all. I'm a coach on this, and I see more people than most people regarding this. And nobody fucking tolerates high estrogen past the threshold. Nobody. Not like 10% of people considered 65. Fucking nobody. They all have dick problems when estrogen's high. I don't know why they're saying that other than what I just said, selectively ignoring the literature. They've got a dog in the fight. They're ideologic. They want to say things that sound good. And some of them are so fucking unoriginal that they just go along with the new cult of estrogen's cardioprotective, therefore let it go, etc. It's stupid. It's just like the keto people, and the low carb people and the paleo folks who just screamed at the top of rooftops about this. And then all of them dialed back to say, well, I ran into a bunch of health problems when I wasn't fueling my cells with the number one substrate they're built for, which is glucose. And instead we had shifted to this fat adaptation, otherwise known as starvation in the scientific literature, by the way. That's what turning fatty acids and amino acids via gluconeogenesis into glucose is. Starvation. It's the same type of thing. They all dialed back their shit. It was a very ideologic, cult-like thing. And had a bunch of people following it on the web because they could lose weight because they were reducing calories by reducing carbs. Fucking stupid. And it also aligns with people. This is why this is also dangerous to suggest you don't need to manage estrogen. Because it gives people false hope. Oh, no, I don't have to complicate my protocol with the use of an aromatase inhibitor. Now I can, now it's like, no, I don't have to worry about that. I'll just let it fall in range. The body will naturally regulate. All these people that say that, I just don't know why they're not aware of the fact that they can't be making blanket statements like that. And that's just not how people work. And that's not how physiology works. Like your thyroid hormones are going to balance out the E2. If you're lean, you're going to... Dude, let's just take me and 25. Forget about the 2,700 guys that I've worked with. Me and 25 guys that I've worked with. Lean, in great shape, optimal thyroid hormones, don't drink a lot, sleep fucking well, eat well, great liver function, great insulin signaling, E2 over 45, and you got ED. Get the fuck out of here. Stop making fucking bullshit blanket statements. All of you YouTubers. Because I see the people in real life that come from taking your advice and they're fucked up. You guys are full of shit and you need to get your shit straight. This is inexcusable. Brian Scott, sorry for the rant. My clinic told me they have patients with E2 of 80 and it's okay. Yeah. Pretty much said all I had to say about that. Yeah, Merrick unfortunately didn't care about E2. That disappoints me because Derek's a smart guy. But again, they're on this whole cult thing of let estrogen go, and it does not pan out in reality. Again, I get they're defectors, and these people come over thinking, oh, I thought if I let the estrogen go, like everything would be fine. It must be dopamine. No, it's fucking estrogen that's causing your problems. I'll go on rants about that forever, so I'm just going to stop. Hey, Sidhu, have you come across the research that states alpha GPC increases growth hormone? I believe so. I don't have many thoughts on it. Mike, what's the difference between PSSD and PFS? Well, I mean, they're induced by different drugs, number one. Nifazodone, which wouldn't cause PSSD. All manner of drugs can cause sexual dysfunction. Yeah, of course he's wrong. They're all fucking wrong. Man, these companies prescribing these drugs that claim they don't cause sexual dysfunction have been sued and lost because they do. They do. I just had a guy, and I've had this before, and I've talked to you guys about it, but I just had a guy that did a consult with me just to look at options. 1 dose of finasteride. Not only serious sexual dysfunction, but bone mineral density loss, memory loss, among other pretty horrific fucking side effects. The difference generally, they both are endocrine disrupting drugs. I mean, I'll just say that. Have you noticed difference in blood work when using HCG from Sourceless versus Pregnal? I have not. I'm using Daily Defy and they charge too much. Yes, they do. Yeah. That's $260 for that 10K IU vial. I know. It's a ripoff. Just go UGL. Sourceless UGL. I just got another 10 vials of 5,000 IU per vial HCG. It cost me $160. Which, by the way, is cheaper than 1 vial of 10K IU of HCG from, the clinics. Why do that? I mean, if you're rich, fine. Even if you're wealthy or pretty good, principally, it makes no sense to buy it from them. Clint. What's up, Clint? Wouldn't we all love our names to be Clint? I'm Clint, bitch. Protocol 70 milligrams testosterone enanthate every 3rd day. Okay, that's not terrible. Nandrolone, that might cause you some dick problems. HCG 300 IU every other day. DHT 20. Okay. I'm not sure what you're saying here. You're just giving us a bunch of information. If you want me to answer a question or break that down, just super chat it, please. Epic, brother. Farmer Rick tried Vigorous Steve's 1,000 IU HCG daily for 3 weeks with 6.25 aromasin. All I can say is, wow, that's how you get your balls back. Oh, totally, man. I dose between 320 and 330 IU of HCG every day. It's just something that I landed on with a lower end dose of test, 112 a week, 5 milligrams transcranial cream a day. I can tolerate a lot of HCG because I'm down there at the lower end, and estrogen's just not causing problems and not over range. But the boys are really, really healthy, man. Really, really healthy, and I like that. It's really important. Really, really important, brothers. Again, boys. If you need to hire me for fixing sexual dysfunction, do it now. There are less than 20 slots open, but that is the discount on the screen. You enter that at checkout. It saves you thousands of dollars on every one of them. 50% is a big discount. It's the biggest discount one of the biggest discounts that you can actually get without making it free. On every one of the coaching packages, if you use that coupon code when you check out, you will save thousands of dollars, and the stuff that was inaccessible to you prior just because of budget purposes is now right there. And you can book, and we're on the fact-finding call in a day. Livecortex.com. Stephen Qualls, you're right about estrogen, but you're not about gluconeogenesis. Okay, right. You've been doing this longer. Would you do me a favor? I just want to stop everybody for a second. Would you do me a favor and type in the chat how long you've been studying keto, energy physiology, glucose's role in cells, etc., and just that whole dynamic of carbs versus fat and metabolism in that regard. You can type it in the chat how long you have been earnestly studying it. And if it's more than 16 years, maybe you have something to say about it. And if you worked with people who've had problems going on keto, maybe, you can have something to say about it. But if you've done no client work and seen these results bear out in reality and don't have 3.5 decades studying this, you can't tell me anything. You can't. Yeah, we're obligate carnivores. Definitely not starvation. Go read the scientific literature. You're fucking grossly misinformed. Okay? It is a backup mechanism. It's a backup mechanism for when you are not getting what you need, i.e. glucose, so you don't die. That's what gluconeogenesis, keto-induced gluconeogenesis is. A backup starvation mechanism so you don't die. Please go read. Hours upon hours upon hours. 10 years what? 10 years what? 10 years what? Reading blogs? Reading 1 or 2 or 10 cherry-picked pieces of scientific literature? I'm telling you, you're way in over your fucking head with me, dude. Way in over your fucking head. People have to remember, in 2010, I was studying Mark Sisson, Rob Wolf, Dave Asprey. I read the whole book by those 2 guys that were pushing keto. The whole fucking book. I read all of the studies. When your understanding of this was in its infancy, actually by your 10 years hadn't even fucking existed yet. Believe me, I know what I'm fucking talking about. But it's okay. I mean, you're using the terminology. You're repeating the terminology that people are saying on the web. Translation, it's an unoriginal thought. Obligate carnivore, fat adaptation. The Inuits, the people in Alaska who survived on fish. You think I haven't fucking read all of this, dude? Better yet, though, I've worked with people. Hormones destroyed, gut bacteria destroyed. You know what happens when you stop feeding your flora substrate it needs to create gram-positive bacteria? If it tips the scales in the negative direction enough, you have digestive problems for 20 fucking years. Anyway, sent you an email 2 weeks ago about sourceless. Never got a response. Is there another way to contact you about this? No, but I get 50 to 100 emails a day, and the math completely beats me. So, I mean, you can try sending me an email again, but if you're asking about vendors, I'm not affiliated with the vendors. So I can't tell you about that. Strict keto messed up my hormones after 1 year and I felt terrible. Yeah. The kind of insulin signaling derangement I've seen alone on people that did keto is fucking atrocious. Atrocious. Man, I've had people with full-blown electrolyte derangement, like these disorders where they cannot regulate sodium, potassium particularly. They urinate large volumes of liquid out uncontrollably, probably via aldosterone signaling dysregulation and impaired arginine vasopressin. These people are up shit's fucking creek, dude. Thank you, brother. Nosy Blacklight, do you always instruct to use DHT gel in the shaft or scrotally? I suppose it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to increase local, meaning penile AR activation, and you've got serious atrophy of the penis, probably best to put a little bit on the shaft and a little bit on the scrotum. But if you're just using DHT to dial in a protocol, scrotum is sufficient and really good. Highly absorbable. Highly absorbable stuff. Let me see. Joe, I've been using Evolved Elements desiccated thyroid, but haven't noticed the difference in energy in 2 capsules in the AM. Any recommendations? Move it to 3. Go to ultimately to 4. If that doesn't make a difference, number one, factor in that you might have other things that are wrong with your energy, so that might not help. If you're good at baseline and then you use them, you should notice a difference. And if ultimately they don't make a significant difference, you just have to graduate to compounded porcine or bovine desiccated thyroid that's pharmaceutical grade, because that shit has T3 and T4 in it, and it will work. It will work. Whereas, any desiccated stuff that you might find on the web that's not prescription or pharmaceutical grade you really don't know the levels of T3 and T4 that are in them. And some of them have just trace amounts, and it's just not enough. It's not enough to make a significant difference. And that's kind of all they can do because it's a supplement. You know what I mean? The one that I got, Evolved Elements, worked really well for me, worked well for my girlfriend. But ultimately, changing to pharmaceutical grade porcine compounded desiccated thyroid helps more, way more, right? So, I mean, it's just a matter of strength between these two things. Clint, thank you for the super chat or the $2, brother. I'm trying to think of what the hell else is going on. We're having a crazy reinfusion of summer weather, which is great. It's September. It's been happening the last couple of years, the last 2 years at least in Pittsburgh. So, it got a little chilly for a while, and we're like, oh, here we go, fucking winter. Time to bat the hatches down and go at it. We're going to be wearing multiple layers this winter. Me and my girl will be out, and we will be in the city, but we will be wearing cyclist level cold weather gear to survive what will be 0-degree temperatures at some points. And, now it's like 80 and sunny. Wanted to also mention to you folks that next Saturday, I won't be doing a live stream because I'm going to Florida for a week. I'll still be in contact with clients. So, I'll have my phone with me, and I'll have devices with me. And so if people need my assistance, then I'm there, but I will be in Florida next week for about a week. Long-awaited vacation. My girlfriend has 2 kids, and they just went off to college, one of them, and there's just been a lot of minutia happening on that side. So her and I haven't really been able to take a vacation this summer. So we're doing it next week. Just wanted to let you guys know about that one. Breathresses. Coaching 50% off, boys. If you got a book now. Now's the time. Now is absolutely the time. When all the slots are filled, that discount goes away. You save thousands of dollars on every coaching package. If you're looking to do a 3-month, which minimally for most cases you need that sort of time. We can get a lot done in a month, but you're probably going to want to extend at that point. You're saving $2,500 on that. $2,500 on the 3-month. It's $45 on the 6-month. Now, if you're a business person, have the budget, serious individual, the value of paying someone who's a specialist so that you're not spinning your wheels on something, just do 6 months and let's fucking hit the ground running this week. LiveCortex.com. LiveCortex.com. Any other questions, boys? If you got them, ask them. Today's going to be like 80 something degrees, 75, 80 degrees, sunny all day. So, yeah, after this, I'll probably hit the gym and then get together with my girlfriend later, and we're going to, hit Pittsburgh, probably go downtown, walk around, get a couple miles of exercise, hit some of the restaurants and stuff, and have a good time. Otherwise, we might go to Rivers Casino and try to win some money. Who knows? There's a couple good slots. The RTP, those of you that follow casinos and stuff, the return to player is pretty shitty on all, even high limit room. But there are some intelligent plays that you can make. Not the least of which is just fucking blackjack. You're just better off at running blackjack if you know what you're doing. Trey, have you heard the FDA trying to make desiccated thyroid much harder to get? I have not heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Yeah, they try to they just need to. God, they fuck so much shit up. They just fuck a lot of shit up. It's how they are. It's how they are, boys. How they are. This week, I had a weird week. There was a lot of weird shit going on in my life. There was a lot of obligatory stuff that was getting in the way. There was technical difficulties with the livecortex.com website, which I fixed. So I couldn't do content Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I apologize for that, but we're coming back. After I quit raw carnivore, Russian bot says. Everything I ate triggered massive brain inflammation. It was comparable to leaky gut. Took months to rebuild my gut biome. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens too. You stop eating carbs and then you reintroduce them. You're going to think you're intolerable to carbs, and that's going to further reinforce the bogus idea that you're not supposed to eat carbohydrates. Yeah, when you switch and you stop eating them, again, mostly the gut composition, the flora, the gram-positive and gram-negative species get in a state of dysbiosis, and so when you bring that back in, then it causes problems. And then people go, see, carbs are the problem. Well, no, they weren't the problem until you start to listen to some wacky cultish internet ideology on it that is not scientific whatsoever, and you believed them. This is just one of the major problems that happens. A lot of the issues that happen on this are, can be hormonal, electrolyte, and gut-based. Yeah. That's just how it works. Ftofton. I have C-Max and C-Lac raw. Should I mix them? Can't give you advice on that, man. Zachary, if you're applying up to 5 clicks of cream a day, would it be wise to change application sites to maximize absorption? No, you're going to keep this roughly the same absorption if you keep it on the scrotum every day. Yeah, 5 clicks a day of the 200 milligram per milliliter stuff might, shut the testicles down a lot. You'll need some HCG to counterbalance that. So it can be dialed in. I've dialed in that before, but it gave me a lot of acne. That's one of the reasons I didn't stay on that. It was pretty acne inducing, just large fluctuations throughout the day. A cream is amazing. The best dose I found on it was 125 IU HCG a day, 20 milligrams DHT a day, 3 pumps of 200 milligram per milliliter. That was, I just was walking erection and all that, but even that had a little acne. And at the time I was just wanting to experiment with some other shit too. So I cycled off of that and went on to something different. But cream is God's gift to man regarding TRT. Aromatizes less, gives you a lot of DHT, pretty awesome for penile health. I might go back on cream at some point, but I'm pretty happy at this point with no acne. I don't have acne. Like I don't have any acne on my back. I look normal again. I might have a pimple spring up every now and then, but largely I just feel good. I'm anabolic. I feel amazing. I'm walking around with erections for 15 minutes in the morning. My libido's high. My sensation's great. Climax is good. So no reason to change at the moment, but I like to experiment. Jose just tried topical pro hormones, epiandro and androstone to 200 milligrams, test sip, started leaning out, feeling good. Hey, great. If it's working for you, it's working for you. Working for you, it's working for you, brother. Hope it is. Hope it stays working. Yeah, you're running on stress hormones. This is true. One of the things that gives people increased brain performance is known as the catecholamine honeymoon. Yeah, it's probably because gluconeogenesis will increase catecholaminergic neurological firing because it's fucking stressful to your body. These are the kinds of things the keto folks won't tell you or don't care to look at. But, yeah. AJL in a recent video, worst case, says you have to stick the protocol forever due to atrophy. This is a good question. What this guy's asking is if somebody has sexual dysfunction, in this case induced by a prolactinoma, which inhibited 5-alpha reductase and starved the penile tissues of blood flow for years upon years, but in the cases of PFS as well, if you get on a hormone protocol that then gives you your sexual function back, the question you have to ask yourself is why the fuck would you want to get off of it? Why? And most of the time it's irrational ideas like I don't want to be on it forever. Why not? Why not? All the 70-year-old guys I know that are on TRT are stronger, better, healthier. Dick works better than all their other 70-year-old counterparts that are natural, sitting at 390 nanograms per deciliter total test. I'll be on TRT for life. Yeah. There's no reason to get off. And yes, they have to stick to the protocol. A guy on TRT that doesn't have serious sexual dysfunction induced by hair loss drug gets on TRT, dials it in, gets libido and erections back, is more anabolic, feels fucking awesome, is more masculine, more confident, has more productivity, more dopamine synthesis. You think it's a good idea for that guy to get off and go back to natural production? First of all, it's not always a guarantee that your natty shit's going to come back. And second of all, you just fully optimize yourself, via very modern hormone hacking. The shit that keeps you alive longer and keeps you having a good, strong, healthy life in the meantime, rather than just withering away to nothing as you age. People go, aging. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm just 44. Yeah, aging. No, your fucking hormones are shit, dude. I'm 41 and no, I'm not old. I'll give you that. But I know 38-year-olds are like, oh, yes, getting up there. Meanwhile, I'm hitting the gym 6 days a week, fucking crushing it. It's nonsense, bro. Get on hormones. Stay on them. Jordan, if someone does have inflammation from eating carbs, you likely have another problem going on. Lack of histamine reducing bacteria. Yeah, that is the bifido species. Yeah. There are species of gut bacteria that selectively break down histamine. And if you fucking cause dysbiosis of those bacteria, then you're going to have all kinds of side effects from eating some ham, or some cheese, or some fried food because it's increasing histamine concentrations. You can't fucking clear it because you don't have the gut bacteria to do it. Jordan is right. Jordan is right. Have I heard about thymic involution and TRTs? Anything to worry about? No. Can you involution suggests some sort of deterioration of a cell, and what this sounds like it refers to is some sort of deterioration of the hypothalamus, and to some extent there might be that, but it's never been the case. That would suggest that people like stop making thyroid hormones and stuff because that's where all that comes from too, and they don't. It would. There's a lot of hormones pituitary makes, antidiuretic hormone being another one. Their ADH does not decline with the use of testosterone over decades. So I do not think that is a problem. I think the only, again, real deterioration that happens is testicular deterioration, which is why you use HCG. That's why you use HCG, brothers. Yeah. MJ's been on carnivore 4 years. Best shape, libido, and EQ. You're so wrong. You're wrong, Ryan. Yeah, cool. Let's look at your diet. Let's look at your bloods. You've never carb refeeded? Never? You've never carb refeeded? Why don't you give us all the details before bullshitting so that you can support your fucking point? I'm not wrong. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Studying that specifically for 15 years, 16 years. Seen client after client after client after client after client after client go wrong, and I've studied all the literature. When you were in diapers on this matter, again, 2010, Mark Siss and Rob Wolf, Dave Asprey, the two guys that wrote the book on this. Before you'd even thought about this, I was studying it, processing it all. I'm your fucking grandfather, dude. Believe me. Can't go back to a Toyota after hopping into a Ferrari. Yeah, never. Yeah, I think I started with the Mercedes at 27 years old, and then I was like, I'm never going back to a different kind of car. And then I switched to BMW, and I'll never go back to anything else. See, they're more expensive. They are a bitch to maintenance when shit goes wrong, but they're ultimate driving machines, man. They're ultimate driving machines. I did not hear about this, but I mean, that guy does a lot of stuff, not the least of which is he runs steroids, and he had cardiac problems early on that I think he managed to fix. Like, I think he had managed to clear out all the plaque that he had. Like, he had a high coronary artery, like plaque score or something, and then he managed to reverse it. So I have not heard about that. That is not good. I do assume that he is still running gear. He looks like he, runs gear, or intermittently maybe runs some gear. Runs a lot of stuff. But I would love to go check that out. Yeah, Thomas O'Connor, he's a good guy, smart dude on YouTube. But again, more than just test in his history, I've run a test cycle. I'll run some Master on Primo here and there, Proviron and all that, but I'm not touching any big shit for long periods of time because ultimately it is unhealthy. It is unhealthy to be running steroids and stuff. But I mean, I don't know the case for Doc, and I'll have to look into that and see what happened. JL Montaigne, when taking even small dose Cialis, I get increased resting heart rate around 100 beats per minute. It should subside, but what it's probably doing is dropping your blood pressure, and therefore your heart rate is having to compensate for that. That is what happens in these cases. Yeah, I mean, load up on sodium. Yeah, I mean, go to your local badass pizza place and have some pizza. That when you take that, do that once, twice a week. Pizza's not a bad food, by the way. It's going to refill liver glycogen. It's a good bit of carbohydrates. Cheese is not bad. Might slow your digestion. Tomato sauce, fine. Got a lot of arginine in it. Helps erections. Grains. It's not a bad food. I eat pizza once a week. I go to a place called Caliente with my girlfriend, and we feast on 14-inch pizza ourselves. We just split it down the middle and fucking eat it. I did that yesterday. But I won't do that tonight. Tonight will be a chicken salad, a big homemade, colorful chicken salad probably, and we're gonna be walking a couple miles later on. Never heard of Primo giving people shingles. No, no. Been Primo on over 40, 60. Huh. That's a weird one. I contaminated vial, perhaps. I've never heard of that, dude. I think that's not great, but no, I've not heard of that. I've not heard of that. All right, boys, I'm gonna end the stream. I got some stuff I got to do. Great fucking questions. Some more to come this week. So I'll be doing content all this week. Remember, though, I've got a jet to Florida for about 6 or 7 days next Saturday. So won't be doing a live stream on Saturday, depending on when our flight is. I've got to book the flight literally today. It's kind of short notice thing, but we have arrangements for my girl's dog and everything kind of set up. So we had to do it like this. So I won't be, after next Saturday, I'll be gone for a week, but I'll probably do some, ad hoc iPhone filming content while I'm over there. I'm still available to coaching clients for that whole time. And it's going to be awesome. Those of you that haven't taken a vacation, if you can do it, great. If you did, I'm proud of you, and I hope you had a great time. We all need to get away sometimes. We all need to just see something different, get a different perspective in life. Take heed to the advice I've given. Book me for coaching if you need me. It's 50% off for a short time longer, saving thousands of bucks. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Peace.